There are many protocols in the Mughal court. You cannot show your backside to the emperor. You have to do kurnisat. Shivaji has not done kurnisat to anyone. Everything works in his head and he walks out. It's a crime what he has committed.
But this is the only interaction between Aurangzeb
That's
and
all there is to it.
Shivaji ever,
Ever.
which changed the course of history.
Course of history. That he did not even think that he is dying so fast.
How old was he?
When he died, he was 50. When Shambhu Raje died, he was 32 or 33. Together, how many years? 72, 50, 60, 70, 80, 82, 83 years. And plus 10. Aurangzeb lived up to 1992, I think.
Oh. Sometimes the world can work in funny ways. Welcome to part 3 of our very special Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj trilogy. This one's going to be much faster than the first 2 parts for 2 reasons. One, it's extremely detailed as a story, so there's no way we could cover all the details even in a 2-hour, 3-hour long episode. That's why we decided to go with a pacier version of the story. And the second reason is that because of the amazing response we've had on this trilogy series, we've decided to do a few sequel episodes and possibly turn it into a 4-part or 5-part series. If you've enjoyed this one, do share it with your friends. I know you enjoy the podcast, so make sure you follow us on Spotify. We're a Spotify exclusive, which means that every episode is available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. This one's the story which begins right where we left off at part 2. I do recommend that you check out part 1 and 2 to get a deeper understanding of this particular part. And in saying that, even if you haven't checked out part 1 and 2, it's okay. You need to know about the greatness of this legendary ruler, and you will get a glimpse of the greatness in this episode. This is part 3 of our special trilogy on Shivaji by Medha Bhaskaran ma'am. Enjoy. Welcome to part 3 of this Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj special on TRS. We're purposely going to make this an extremely fast-paced episode because this concept of Shivaji versus the Mughals is extremely complex.
Yes.
There's too many battles, there's too many things that happen. I want to know much more about the story, ma'am. So thank you for 2 epic, detailed episodes. Where do we begin the third one? Because I think we left off at the point where Aurangzeb has just noticed Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj now.
Yes.
What happens from there?
Then, Bacha Aurangzeb is a very upset man now. Now he really does not want the Marathas to exist. There is the rise of the Marathas must not take place. So he chooses his most trusted man, who is Shaiste Khan, a very intelligent man who is also an architect. He chooses him as a Subedar of the Deccan and sends him to Aurangabad.
With the pure intention of actually taking out Shivaji.
Taking on the Marathas, yes.
Okay.
Taking on Shivaji. He wants to destroy Shivaji. So
What is parallelly happening in the Maratha Empire at this? Can you call it the Maratha Empire?
no,
It's
just a budding Swaraj. It's a small territory.
small territory,
It's
but
not empire.
are Maharashtrians all over Maharashtra getting attracted towards the philosophy by this point?
No, just see, Shivraji's territory is just near Pune, around Pune, Valley of Jauli and parts of Konkan. Okay. And of course now parts of Adil Shahi also. They have won few forts. Few forts in the Adil Shahi terrain that is important is Panala and Vishalgarh.
Gotcha.
So now you have to find out when Shaiste Khan comes. He is a Subedar of Madhya Pradesh actually, today's Madhya Pradesh. Then it was called, which I don't remember exactly. But he comes to Maharashtra, he comes to Pune with 100,000 soldiers. Some of them is cavalry, some are foot soldiers, and some are the artillerymen. And his wives, his concubines, and his children, everybody in that cavalcade. So what is his intention is, he knows he cannot fight Shivrai in the mountains. So what is he going to do? He is very clear about it. He takes this cavalcade and plogs through the terrain of Shivrai, destroying villages after villages after villages.
To pull them
He
out of the
takes
mountains.
No. He wants to just destroy the territory, which is known as war of attrition. So he comes, and he comes with all his people, and if there are 100,000 men and people, women, there are 100,000 animals. So imagine the destruction of the territory. Animals are eating all the greens. So everything is denuded. All the trees are gone. And can you believe what smell they must be leaving behind? Using, they have to defecate. Droppings, animal droppings, and human droppings. So they destroy the territory, and Shivrai by now has shifted his family to a fort called Rajgarh near Pune. So that is his family base now. He is run away. He has taken his family and gone, because plains are too dangerous. The Mughals are all over. And what does Shaiste Khan do? Lal Mahal, which was the small tiny palace of Shivrai, Shaiste Khan goes and parks there, in Pune. He takes the downstairs, upstairs, the courtyard, and around him is a small little sleepy town of Pune, and around Pune is the huge military camp. It's like python swallowing a small prey. Yeah, so he comes there. Now, he lives there for almost 2 years, destroying. He sends his squadrons all over the place to kill villagers, loot, bring in the slaves. And there are many entries to that camp, military camp. So, there were that time no biometrics. Na? So, it was difficult for those people also to know who is the enemy entering and who is the enemy going. If any Maratha spy is entering. By then, there is a huge, Shivrai has developed a huge spy network. Okay. And many of his spies are working in the camp, Mughal camp, as masseurs, as postmen, as servants, as cleaners, So, Shivrai knows about the camp very well.
Where is he at this point?
Is Rajgarh.
Which is modern day?
Rajgarh.
Okay,
it's known as Rajgarh.
Is it
It's
near?
a fort.
Is it
it's
near
Pune?
Okay, and
near Pune. It's a very treacherous fort to climb.
Gotcha. So it's a safe place for him and his family.
Safe place for he and his family. And he has now acquired many forts, at least several forts. Like he has about 23 plus 12. How many that would be?
35.
35 forts. 35 forts he has. So this Shaiste Khan comes and parks himself, and war of attrition starts, and destruction of Shivrai's territory starts. So then Shivrai has to think out of the box, something different. So they said, we cannot, and what Shaiste Khan does, he never walks out of that house. He's safe in that house. So you cannot catch him outside anywhere. So then Shivrai says that we have to go into that house and attack him. Now many people say, how can he, this is very bad. Enemy sleeping. You cannot act, it is against the rule of war. You cannot attack a person who is most vulnerable in his house. My answer to these critics is that was Shivrai's house in the first place, which was occupied by Shaiste Khan. So I asked the people, if somebody comes and occupies your house, you are going to use any method to drive him or her out. I have done myself that thing, I've gone, that kind of things happen. And Shivrai was trying to drive out the enemy from his own house. So that's the famous attack on Shaiste Khan, you see, in the midnight attack. When Shaiste Khan was attacked, but not killed, only his fingers are lost. because Shivarai and his people, he takes his childhood friends with him at that time because they had played hide and seek in that house. They know everything about that house and how they enter the camp, how they enter the house. It itself is a very interesting part of the story. And in one of my books, Challenging Destiny, I have compared Shivrai's midnight attack on Shaista Khan with Neptune Star operation, where Osama bin Laden was killed.
Was supposedly killed.
Was supposedly killed. They both hid behind their wives and both lost their first son in that. Here Shaista Khan as well as Osama bin Laden. Acha, we don't know. It was a water grave for him. Yeah, allegedly killed. Okay. So when Shaista Khan is now Jaswant Singh Rathod is another person who is been posted in the Deccan that time, and
By the Mughals.
By the Mughals, and he is near Kondana Fort, his camp. So what Shaista Khan does, he finds Jaswant Singh Rathod as scapegoat. He said, "You only provided information to Shivrai, and you allowed his people to come in the camp, and you are the traitor." Like that. But Aurangzeb gets so fed up that Shaista Khan is posted to Bengal. And Aurangzeb says, "Please don't see my face again."
Ever.
Okay, ever. So he's posted there.
But what happens to him? He dies eventually?
No, he does a lot of good work in Bengal. Architecture, he becomes very famous there.
Okay.
And then he dies a natural death.
Okay.
That's okay. But what happens now? Whom to send to? Shivrai does not trust Jaswant Singh Rathod because he had become a traitor and joined Shah Shuja in a war of succession. So there is this another very powerful Rajput, Mirza Raja Jai Singh, who is linguist, knows several languages. He is pickled in politics. He knows the Deccan because he had fought battles in the Deccan, and he is very good looking and very, princely. So this is the man who has to go to the Deccan to face Shivrai. But Aurangzeb thinks there are two kafirs. They can join hands together, you see. Therefore, he also, along with just Mirza Raja Jai Singh, he also sends a guy from Afghanistan, a warrior called Diler Khan. Diler Khan and Mirza Raja Jai Singh hate each other. Naturally, they are rivals. So what they say, Diler Khan wants to go to Konkan, but Mirza Raja says, no, there is this Purandar fort. First, we have to take one fort of Shivrai's. Shivaji's one fort. Then he knows that the Mughal are capable of taking the fort. And he studies very hard, When Mirza Raja comes to the Deccan, he studies very hard and he finds out this Purandar fort has another twin fort around near it, which is known as Vajragad. The Vajragad is slightly short than Purandar, and if we can take over Vajragad, we can take over Purandar. But Purandar is manned by Murarbaji. What Diler Khan and Mirza Raja plan is that we will take Vajragad and then we will enter Purandar. So that battle they succeed. That is also a very interesting battle. They take over Vajragad. Then there is a shallow valley between Purandar and Vajragad, and then they take over Purandar, lower fort. And then there is a famous battle where Murarbaji comes in with 500 people, while Diler Khan's Afghan soldiers, 5,000 of them are waiting on the outside the fort of Purandar. And there is a battle there. And the way Murarbaji fights, so Diler Khan stops Murarbaji and says, Murarbaji fights with pata sword. It's
like
a
whip,
different,
a sword
it's
whip.
Not whip. It's like a
flexible
little flexible sword.
Hmm.
Both he fights and he kills a lot of people. For one Maratha, 10 Mughals are killed. Then at that point, Diler Khan, as history books, maybe fiction, he stops him and says that why do you want to work for Shivaji? He's a poor man and I will give you so much salary and I'll make you a big Mansabdar, my emperor. That time, Murarbaji gives him galis in Marathi and says, this will not happen. Don't even, question my loyalty to Shivrai. He attacks Diler Khan and Murarbaji is killed by an arrow, by Diler Khan's bodyguard, and then Diler Khan beheads Murarbaji, and they say even headless body of Murarbaji kept fighting the battle. So that may be a kind of a little fiction in history, but this is what they say: Murarbaji is killed. But his army goes back into the fort, upper fort, and close the gates. So at this time, hundreds of villages have been attacked by this Mirza Raja Jai Singh. He is multi-pronged attack, multi-pronged war. If Shaiste Khan's was war of attrition, it is these attacking the villages and taking over the fort also, Purandar fort. So what he has shown, Shivrai, I can take over your hill fort. Don't be so proud, you know. Your hill forts mean nothing. That he sends the message. And thousands of villagers have been massacred. This time, Shivrai goes to meet Mirza Raja Jai Singh. There is a meeting. And there is Purandar peace treaty happens between them. And Mirza Raja Jai Singh has been magnanimous. He's a good man. So what he tells Shivrai, that give me 23 forts which were acquired by you from Adil Shahi. Which you acquired in Konkan, I don't need. But what Adil Shahi forts you acquired, those 23 forts and around territory I want, which is generating a lot of revenue. So Shivrai is left with only 12 forts. Only 12 forts. That Purandar peace treaty is signed. That time Mirza Raja Jai Singh says, you become our Mansabdar. Okay, now remember this. You become our Mansabdar. So Shivrai is very interestingly, there is a proposal by Shivrai, which is again I feel management. He says, I will not be your Mansabdar. My son will be your Mansabdar. So how old is your son? What is his name? My son's name is Sambhaji Shambhuraje. He's 7 years old. That time, Shambhuraje is made a Mughal Mansabdar. Why do you think Shivrai made this, took this step? Is because that if Shivrai was made a Mansabdar, Mughal Mansabdar, the first posting would have been either in northeast or northwest.
To take the king out of his stronghold.
Exactly. Destroy him. But Aurangzeb cannot send 7-year-old boy to northeast frontiers or northwest frontiers. Also, Shivrai writes down in the treaty that I am allowed to increase my territory in Konkan region. Against the Adil Shah forces, I am allowed to fight. That is also agreed by Mirza Raja Jai Singh. Now the Mughals have taken over Shivrai's 23 forts without bloodshed. And Mirza Raja has achieved a great thing. So Badshah Aurangzeb is very happy. Now they say next is Adil Shah. Attack Adil Shah and take over Bijapur. So Mirza Raja Jai Singh and Shivrai, because Shivrai has to help against Adil Shahi. So Shivrai and his force and the Mughal force all go and camp around Bijapur. But Bijapur, you can read in my book, there is multi-walled city, It's very protected. And what do Bijapurs do? The Badi Sahiba and Ali Adil Shah, they take in all the farmers and they use scorch earth tactic. They, they put mud in all the wells and they kill all the animals and burn down all the granaries. So when these people come, they are starving. And they cannot break the wall of Bijapur and go. It's huge if you see that. And it has 12 gates and all that. It's a majestic thing. I don't know now what is remaining. But this information I found from 18th century book written by a Britisher on Bijapur. How it was then, you see. So these people are defeated. Then Diler Khan puts a poison in Mirza Raja Jai Singh's mind that perhaps Shivaji has joined hands with Bijapur people. Shivrai has joined hands with Bijapur people.
Which is Adil Shah.
Adil Shah. So you better kill him. But Mirza Raja doesn't have heart to kill Shivrai. So then then they say how to remove Shivrai from this entire scene is to send him to Agra. So that time Aurangzeb's 50th birthday is coming according to the moon calendar.
How old is Shivaji at this point?
35.
Okay.
About 35.
Hmm.
He's 7-year-old Sambhaji.
Hmm.
So then Mansabdar also has to go with Shivrai. So that is how Shivrai goes to Agra, Then but Shivrai has there is a strategy, there is a master stroke in this. Shivrai wants to go and meet Badshah because Mirza Raje promises him lot of things. He also says that perhaps after I go, if Badshah likes you, he will make you a Mughal Subedar of the Deccan. And Shivrai thinks I've become Mughal Subedar of the Deccan. With Mughal help, I will eliminate the Sultanates and then I will eliminate Mughal also. Eliminate the Mughal also. That was his strategy. And Mirza Raja Jai Singh also promises that Badshah may help you to war against Siddhis also. So what Shivrai does, he visits all the 12 forts, remaining forts, and tells them, if I die, or any message comes from me from Agra that I am dying, or I will get killed if you do not surrender the forts, do not surrender the forts. Let me die there. So independently you fight the forts.
Why?
Forts.
Why did he send this message?
No, he visits all the forts.
But he wants them to retain their freedom.
Exactly.
Okay.
He wants to retain the seed of his Swaraj, which is only 12 forts
Like
now.
the philosophy must live on.
Yes,
even
no,
if...
our Swaraj must live on. And if I die and anything happens, you carry on. Fight against the Mughal. So we have to, so he visits all those. So then Shivrai goes to Agra, then the rest is history. When he looks at Agra, his actually first thoughts. There's another Britisher's book I read on Agra and I described it. And this is my instinct. The Agra is just that the inner city is very beautiful, just like all the Indian cities. The downtown is beautiful, the rest is military camp. And there is no wall. So Shivrai knows that if I can attack Agra, I can take over Agra. It's so vulnerable. There is no wall. It's not a walled city. So anyway, he goes to Agra and then the famous episode, that they meet only for few minutes, that Ram Singh, Mirza Raja's son, is supposed to come and greet him. He doesn't arrive. One Sarai is a guest house which is given to Shivrai, is not up to the mark. And nobody comes to greet him. And then at the day of the birthday, Badshah's birthday, there is some misunderstanding and Shivrai gets late to go into the darbar. By the time all the function in Diwani Aam is over and they have gone to Diwani Khas. And then Shivrai sees Jaswant Singh Rathod in front of him. See, in Mughal court, where you stand is most important thing. That's your designation. How much respect the emperor has for you depends on where you are made to stand. Nobody sits in the Mughal court. Even the priests stand. So everybody stands and the women are behind the curtain. And where you stand is of the most important thing. So when Shivrai sees Jaswant Singh Rathod in front of him, he gets very angry that what's my respect here, because Shivrai is not used to bowing down to anybody. See, there are many protocols in the Mughal court. You cannot show your backside to the emperor. You have to do kurnisat. That means you have to hold your head and bow your head, and then you have to fall to your knees, saying that my intellect and my brain and my being, my soul belongs to you. I will do anything for you. That is kurnisat. Shivrai has not done kurnisat to anyone. So that all this and the heat of the northern heat, it's summertime, it's May. Everything works in his head and he walks out. He tells, I know you, Badshah, and he actually gives a couple of bad words there.
In Marathi?
Yeah, in Marathi. And then he walks out and his son also walks out. And then it's a breach of, it's a crime what he has committed.
But this is the only interaction between Aurangzeb
That's
and
all there is to it.
Shivrai ever.
Ever. That's all there is to it. This 10 minutes of drama,
Wow. Which changed the course of history.
course of history. Then Shivrai is, is put under house arrest. That he has insulted Badshah. Many people come and tell Badshah that you kill him.
Yeah, why didn't Badshah kill him? Like, as in, because I'm
So
talking
the
from
thing
his
is,
psychology.
So the thing is, what Badshah thinks is that let him be under house arrest, and Badshah wants all these 12 forts, the keys of those 12 forts, remaining
Okay.
forts. So the Maratha base is completely wiped out. And also Mirza Raja Jai Singh has taken an oath that you will be safe there. And his son Ram Singh is also, Mirza's son Ram Singh works as a Agra fort administrator.
God. So
there is a pressure from Rajputs that not to kill him. You see?
I think it's very important to dial back to the first episode we did about Aurangzeb being a great warrior, great politician,
Yes.
a great geopolitical leader.
Yes.
He would have also done his calculations and therefore
Yes.
not killed
Yes.
Shivrai at this point.
Yes.
Which was a mistake, probably.
Which later on he regrets while dying. It's a big mistake.
Like, he feels like he should have killed him at this.
Yes.
Wow.
But then, the escape, what I want to end this episode with, because see, the thing is, we think that he ran away into sitting into a sweetmeat box. It's not like that. There are many hypotheses, and I have taken the most logical one in my book, which I can explain you in the next episode, how he runs away from there and what impact it has on Aurangzeb's psyche. And what impact it has on Shambhuraje's psyche, which is this triangle of Badshah Aurangzeb, Shivrai and Shambhuraje. It's very dramatic, in history. The changes that happen in the minds of Badshah Aurangzeb and Shambhuraje, because Shivrai runs away, Shivrai escapes, leaving Shambhaji, Shambhuraje in Mathura. And what psychological impact Shambhuraje had of that act of Shivrai is a subject to study. And what impact of Aurangzeb had, how Shivrai hoodwinked him, and what impact he had, how he was raging actually. It was like a rage. And what kind of destruction then Badshah Aurangzeb planned for the Deccan, that he wanted to bathe the Deccan with Bhosle blood. You see, that was his how he got obsessed with Deccan, and how the entire history changed is my next book, Life and Death of Shambhaji, So,
we'll definitely break that down in a further series we do with you.
Yeah.
But I'm not ready to stop this episode at this point, ma'am. I want to know a little bit about what happened after the Agra escape. In terms of Shivrai, he makes his way back to Maharashtra.
Yeah. So everybody thinks he escaped, and within a month he went to the Deccan. See, it cannot be like that. He escaped much before the real escape which we think. Because if you think of Mathura, he started from Mathura first he went to Bijapur, and then it's about 100 miles of road. If you are a horse rider, you can ride a horse 10 to 15 miles or maximum 20 miles per day. And if you do that, for next 2 days, your joints pain so much that you have to take rest. So within a month, Shivrai could not have covered that. And it's not a straight road. It's mountains and rivers and the valleys. It's just impossible. So this theory of he reaching within a month to Rajgarh is not logical. So I can explain to you how he really escaped, and when he escaped, and how he escaped. Not through sweetmeat box. He would have been in a very vulnerable position. See, and there were checkposts. And if he was found, if he was caught in the sweetmeat box, he would have been hacked to death. He's most vulnerable. He cannot even fight. He did not escape that way. Most interesting part is how he escaped and what impact his escape had on the psyche of Aurangzeb and the psyche of Shambhuraj. That is very mysterious, and which I needed to crack it by studying it for 5 to 6 years. You see? Yeah.
You think that belongs in the next episode?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Because from there, the story of life and death of Sambhaji starts,
But, to summarize this episode, because people who are listening to this story for the first time, and there's a lot of listeners like that all over India, outside of Maharashtra, all over the world.
Yeah.
Could you kind of just give a short summary of what happened to Shivrai's expansion of his empire in Maharashtra, assuming he made his way back?
See, the real empire was, you can call the Maratha empire only from when the Peshwas took over.
Okay.
Till then, it was a budding Swaraj,
Got it.
Shivraj was a budding Swaraj. So that's another story. That's a big story,
Okay.
So then you have seen Bajirao. That's again
Yeah.
Bollywood film.
Yeah.
That I have not seen, mercifully. So the thing is, till Shivraj's death, it was a budding Swaraj. You cannot call it a Maratha empire. It was a dream. It was a seed of the Maratha empire. He sowed.
Could you give like one just ending piece for this episode? Just like a short summary of what was Shivrai's mentality once he made his way back to Maharashtra?
His mentality was, I'm going to lie low now and I'm going to take over whatever I lost in Purandar Peace Treaty.
Okay.
And by this time, Mirza Raja Jai Singh had fallen from Badshah Aurangzeb's eyes.
Because Shivrai
he escaped. Shivrai escaped. So he suspect Ram Singh and Mirza Raja Jai Singh in this entire escape episode. He thinks that they had joined hand with Shivrai.
Okay.
So Mirza Raja dies a very painful death while he was called back from the Deccan when he's traveling to Agra.
He's tortured?
Yeah, tortured in the sense he was given poison, they say. And poisoned by his own right-hand man, his own clerk. His name I will tell, I don't get his name now, but his own clerk who escapes to Agra, that clerk, before, when Mirza Raja dies, that clerk escapes to Agra and is converted to Islam, protected. So that's a very mysterious death, Mirza Raja dies. So Shivrai knows that if I work for Badshah, if I even give my life to him, if I win battles to him, I expand his empire, my death is going to be like Mirza Raja Jai Singh. So now his idea is not to even get enamored by Mughal posts or Mansabdar posts. I need to cut them down to size, and I need to first get back what I have lost in Purandar Peace Treaty. That's his resolution.
And over the rest of his life, he eventually gets back all those forts.
And more.
Okay.
And more. When he dies, he has 350 forts. Okay. And if the Mughal wanted to fight for those forts, each fort needed 3 to 4 years of besiegement. So imagine, you calculate the years, how many years the Mughal needed. There was no air force then, no?
So the warfare was based on high altitude pieces of territory?
No. If you have hill forts, when the Mughal forces come in, so if there is a besiegement, 30,000-40,000 people need to besiege a fort because the
circumference
is so huge. It has to be tight besiegement, otherwise they can escape, food can come in, anything can happen. So escape from Panhala is another thing. Escape from Panhala, I have not even told you that story.
And you think all this belongs in part 4?
No, but escape from Panhala, when they take over Panhala, when Shahiste Khan comes from the north, they join hands with Adil Shahi And one Salabat Khan, that's another story. Salabat Khan is, his name is Johar, Siddhi Johar. He is working, he is a Subedar of Kurnul in Adil Shahi terrain. So he is given huge force by Adil Shah to besiege Panhala. And how he escapes Shivrai from Panhala, because now Shaiste Khan is eating up his terrain, no? He has to be out there to fight in his terrain. So he has to escape Panhala. And how he escapes Panhala, that I can explain to you in the 4th episode. The intricacies of these wars.
Okay.
It cannot be even Sambhaji. It's the intricacies of war and the politics played by the Mughal, the Adil Shahi, and the Shivrai.
Yeah, I think there's a few reasons we chose to create a very fast, quick episode this time. Because one, I don't think even 4 or 5 episodes are enough to just
No.
cover what we're documenting in this one episode.
Yes.
Therefore, this is kind of a preview for what is to come.
Yes, you can treat it that way.
But maybe to summarize all 3 parts today, because they are centered around Shivrai and the times that existed before him, and the difficult lives of the common folk in India at that point. Maybe to end this episode,
No, for this, you need to, even to understand Shivrai, you will have to, your listeners will have to understand the dark politics of the Mughals. What they were doing, the politics with the Rajputs, Aurangzeb's equation with the Rajputs, Badshah Aurangzeb's politics with the Adil Shahi and Qutub Shahi, and what politics was internally going on in Adil Shahi and Qutub Shahi.
Okay.
So all this is the story of the Marathas. It's not just the Marathas. It's no linear. There's no linear story.
Yeah.
It's a complex play of politics and power among these empire and the sultanates and the budding Maratha Swaraj.
Shivrai's legacy lives on even today.
Yes.
Based on his conquests, his intellect, I have been told his spiritual side as well. Anyway, even if we discount the spiritual side for now, everything he accomplished is still very much alive today in culture in Maharashtra.
Another thing, when the British took over the power in 18 something, the entire power went from the Marathas. Marathas is reached by then Delhi also. And Mughal empire had weakened. The most powerful were the Marathas then. And most of the power was given from the hands of the Marathas to the British. So it was like, that is why Hindustan was formed, no?
The Maratha Empire, when it started ascending after the death of Shivrai, they were incredibly inspired by the work of Shivrai. What was the legacy that was carried forward? In terms of, I'm sure there were warfare tactics carried forward, there was Swaraj mentality, freedom.
I'll tell you, after Shivrai's death and after Sambhaji's death, 27 years the Marathas fought. There is no such incidents in history after the king's death. Anybody has fought 27 years till Aurangzeb's death, and he was defeated. And his forces were defeated. The Mughal Empire was weakened. 27 years the Marathas fought only by remembering Shivrai. Only remembering Shivrai. Only on his memory they got the power. Perhaps their salary system was broken. Perhaps they were not getting enough food. Only on the memory of Shivrai they defeated Aurangzeb.
How did he pass away?
Who?
Shivrai.
Shivrai passed away. Actually, I feel he had typhoid.
Okay. Illness.
I think illness, yes.
Why do you say you think?
Think because the British correspondents write that he had blood flux, means blood vomit, and he had fever. So blood vomit happens in typhoid, if there is a perforation of the intestines, then the blood vomit can happen. There also is a possibility that he was so much under tension because Shambhu Raje's psyche changed and certain actions he took which could have broken a father's heart, Shambhu Raje realized it later. But that's what I said, his escape changed the psyche of Badshah Aurangzeb and to an extent changed the psyche of Shambhu Raje.
Hmm.
So that hit him very hard, perhaps. And he perhaps might have had peptic ulcer.
Hmm.
So that also can cause bloody flux, that
Hmm.
is blood vomit.
After dedicating 20 years of your life to this topic,
Yeah.
I want to ask you what you think his mentality was at the time of passing away. Or what was he thinking about the future? Because he had created the base for possibly the most powerful empire that
Yeah,
India has seen.
350 empire, we cannot still call it. It was a Swaraj, it has expanded to 350 forts. Now he had a territory of not just Pune and forts around it and villages, but also Valley of Jauli. Plus, he had navy to, and a large part of Konkan region. And he had southern Carnatic country, 50 forts in Carnatic country alone, and the Cholamandala coast. So he had these territories when he passed away. So when he passed away, what must have gone through his mind is very difficult to fathom. In my book, though, I have written that he did not even think that he is dying so fast.
How old was he?
50. So 50, he died 50. When he died, he was 50. When Shambhu Raje died, he was 32 or 33. Together, how many years? 72, 50, 60, 70, 80, 82, 83 years. And plus 10, Aurangzeb lived up to 1992, I think.
Oh. Sometimes the world can work in funny ways.
Yeah, that's what,
Hmm.
So it's very difficult to fathom more. I think he did not even know he's going to die so fast.
His 40s were all about conquering
No,
those
40s.
350.
Yeah. Then what we will discuss in the next episode is why he looted Surat.
Okay.
And there was a Ambrose, Father Ambrose. I remember his conversation is there in my book. He is one of the priests because there were a lot of Dutch companies, British companies in Surat. You see, Father Ambrose comes and he says that you emperor is going to be very angry and eye for an eye. He's going to destroy your region. And what answer Shivraj gives to Father Ambrose is very interesting, which I will tell you in the next episode. You see.
Maybe you can give us a nugget in this one, just this one piece.
She says, if whatever I do, I attack you or I become a servant of the emperor, or if I attack the empire, I fight, I raise my sword against the empire, my fate is going to be the same.
Hmm.
I'm not going to be, I'll be ruthlessly treated, But I don't want to give you the full answer in this.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This was a fantastic, very fast third episode, especially
Yeah,
in
but lots of
comparison.
things remained and lots of things slipped out. His escape from Panala and Baji Prabhu Deshpande, how he played his role, from where he found Baji Prabhu Deshpande. It's a big story,
Okay.
And that politics between the Mughal and the Adil Shahi, how it played against Shivraj, because it was a two-way attack, double whammy.
Yeah.
It was all planned that you keep him in Panala, imprisoned, and we destroy his region.
I think we gave the listeners a great context on Game of Thronesy Indian history in these 3 episodes.
I think you should not give so much importance to Game of Thrones. This is even more
100%.
stranger.
No, it's much greater. The only reason I bring up Game
Stranger.
of Thrones is because we have an international
Because,
audience.
yeah, that's what.
Not, I think Indians
Yeah.
all across the country know the greatness of
Yeah.
Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Yeah, but international, in relatively speaking, in it's like juxtaposition.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Mera ma'am, this was 3 incredible episodes. I kind of like that we kept this one short
Yeah,
and just
can.
gave people a kind of linear outcome, especially as
Yes.
compared to the
But
last
there
2
are
episodes.
stories within stories and
Yeah.
politics within politics. And how even Siddhi Johar, who besieged Panala fort trying to imprison Shivrai along with its 7,000 soldiers inside Panala. How he was eliminated by Adil Shah,
Mm.
because he eliminated somebody and became the Subedar of Kurnool, and he was eliminated by the same place in the same way by Adil Shah. So it's like karma coming hitting you back,
Yeah.
what you did. So there are many stories, and how they plan to kill Shivrai in Agra, and who is the Sardar of Aurangzeb, and how he has the death cell where he kills his prisoners, what tactics he uses. There are a lot of stories within stories in this, which we could not tell you.
Okay. I will point listeners towards your books. I think that's where there are even more detailed
Yeah, details,
instances
yeah.
of everything we've spoken about. And all I can say is that I can't wait to shoot with you again, ma'am. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you're leaving Mumbai for a few months, I believe.
Yeah.
So the sequel episodes to this one will be out soon, where we'll go into even more detail. Is there any parting note you want to leave the listeners with after these 3 episodes?
There are lessons to be learned from history, and hating somebody just because he or she belongs to certain religion, I think this is a thing of the past, and we have to just get rid of all those biases and emotions. And I feel that, I won't say become atheist, but keep religion in your heart and in your house, not outside your house.
And not in your mind.
Not in your mind. It should not possess your mind.
Yeah, because everyone's a human first.
Yes.
And then everything else follows.
Then everything else. That's true.
All right, Meena ma'am, thank you. Great talking to you. I bow down to your knowledge and these 20 years.
No, don't even bow down. There's no need to bowing down. Readers like you, people like you keep me, energetic.
Yeah, I think you're going to be very pumped about coming back once these episodes release. I know what you have delivered today, and I can't wait for you to break down more aspects of this 3rd episode that we recorded.
Yeah, we will.
And the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 10th and the 20th.
Oh, I don't know. Then I have to really study the history of the Peshwas.
Yeah, we would love for.
That's a very, very interesting history. There was a Marathi play called Ghashiram Kotwal, which is very famous. And they have brought out the irony of many things. It's an intellectual play, drama. It is written by Vijay Tendulkar, one of the very brainy playwriters of Marathi's arena, literature. He's no more, but I've seen his drama now recently, and I was really like, I have to study Peshwa history.
Please study Peshwa history, ma'am.
I know.
Relay the information.
Yeah, that's true.
Just thank you for being on the show.
I'm grateful also. Yeah. I'm grateful to both of you.
Yeah.
And him also.
Yes, I think it's episodes like this and people like yourself that give us hope that there's unlimited podcasts in this country. So thank you once again,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much. Thank you.
So that concludes our special 3-part series on Chatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. This trilogy allowed me to dive much more deeply into the reality of this legendary ruler. Everything that I wanted to learn about his mind, his philosophies, and his outlook on life, I have begun to learn through this trilogy, because the story is so deep, the philosophies are so deep, the strategies used were so elaborate, that this trilogy will only give you a beginning into this subject. And that's why there's countless books, countless shows, countless legends about this legend. I hope that we were able to do some amount of justice to this epic story. If you enjoyed it, do share it with your friends. I'd love some feedback from you folks in the comment section below. Tell us what you liked about this one. Tell us what you didn't like about this particular trilogy. We're going to keep applying your feedback and we're going to keep improving. This Indian history special on TRS has only begun, and lots more is coming your way. That's why make sure you follow us on Spotify. Every episode's available on Spotify 48 hours before it's available anywhere else in the world. Do suggest more authors, do suggest more historians who would help us form a better vision of history in all our collective minds. And I hope that this particular trilogy helped elevate our collective consciousness a lot more as the TRS family. Thank you for listening in. Lots more coming your way.